Okay, short follow-up to the previous. As planned, I went and laid out the smelter arrays here to the north of the mines, and I set up the coal line, planned it out, and routed all of the iron. Have not yet routed the copper ore into the copper array. And I realized that this is going to be kind of boring to watch me just lay out. So instead of having a stream of me just, striping out a whole bunch of belts, I'll pop in and show the creative aspects of this. There aren't very many. A lot of this is repetitive. And then I'll lay out the blueprint for the copper ore feeding into the copper arrays, and then I'll just go ahead and stripe it all out off camera because that's boring. So, first off, I recreated my old 8-to-8 balancer that I loved so much. This is a balancer with a 2-gap between, so it allows me to set up my bus belts so that I can do that and balance between them. I am not sure whether this is a total throughput balancer or not. I do know that in practice it kept things balanced pretty well. And since it's mostly balanced coming in, then it should be better balanced going out. So there's that. So I was fiddling around with how to do this balance. I really need a 16 to 13 balancer, and those are really hard to find. But I did find a 16 to 16 fractal balancer, and it turned out that its input stage was 4 to 4 balancing. So I had already stripped off my balancers here, put those back in, and then just kept the last 3 stages of the fractal balancer. And 8 of the outputs are going to go to the iron smelters, and 5 of the other 8 will go off to the steel. Now, if the input were slow, then steel would get half of the outputs. But in general, the inputs are not going to be too slow. And even if we end up using half of our ore for steel, that's not a bad balance. So I don't need to take these 3 outputs and merge them back into the inputs in any way. We're good. I like to use this kind of a construct for turning two sets of 4 belts. I like the look of it, frankly. I didn't do it up here, and I should. So let's do it. We have barely enough room. There. So the model here is that we come in with 8 lines of ore, and one at a time we send a line in, and it gets smelted, and it comes back out and replaces it. So as we move to the right, these lines are progressively going to go from ore to iron plate. These should be long enough with the steel furnaces so that we take an entire yellow belt of ore and turn it into an entire yellow belt of plate. And I am bringing in 3 red belts of coal. I have no idea what my requirement is going to be there. And I still have myself set to 3x time. Over to the left, here's steel. The coal, again, it's going to be the same thing. We're bringing it in. We send some of the coal up the middle. We send some more up the sides. And these are going to be plate to steel out. And double checking. Yes, so the red ones from here, we're going to be putting steel plate here. and we're going to be getting coal here. So this is correct. Always double check. 2, 3, 4, 5 smelters, because it takes 5 iron plate to make a steel. So each one of these is going to be 0.2 of a belt coming out. So we add them all up, and this should exactly fill this belt if I have saturated inputs. These come from copper here. It's going to be the same thing. In fact, I am going to copy paste to replace this. Well, or not. Can I, in fact, replace that? I believe I can. So it goes up on the left and down on the right. And this goes up on the left and down on the right. So we can actually cut starting here all the way out to here. And now I'm going to copy we want to catch all the way up to here and all the way across to here. So now my copper is coming in on the very far left. That's doable. It might be fun to bring half of it in the middle, but no point in it really. And we're going to go ahead and just let the power be like that. But I am going to enforce my normal gap between them, which I didn't on the other one because I didn't have space. Now I could have had space if I had left more gap between these two smelter lines, but I didn't anticipate it, so it is what it is. Oh, I remember why. Because I was using this. Yeah. See, I did have space. I just didn't want it. So we're going to copy this. And now we just need to bring those lines over and bring the copper up, and we'll be fine. What you're seeing is an abbreviated subset of the work I did earlier. Now, the question is, yes, that's perfect. So, here, bada boom. Like that. Ah. And there we go. So that will route my copper in. And I could avoid this mess, and I'm going to. I'm going to move that out there. There we go. Just need to splice these. And if I've done that right, that should all flow neatly. Now the nice thing about this is that when I am flush with red belt, I can upgrade all this to red belt and add another smelter section up top and just automatically double all of my smelting. At that point, if 2 red belts of coal isn't enough, we can always replace that with a better fuel. So now we come down here, and here's our turning the corner and our start of our main bus. And we have some sort of a fluid bus, which I haven't quite decided on yet. We can't jump over that, so really we're going to need to place in the middle like that, and in the middle like that. We can dump it in the middle there. And I'm not sure what all that looks like going to the right. We'll figure that out as time comes by. These likely will end up heading into a more complete implementation of this. Obviously, we're going to need to have petroleum out there, and I believe lube and acid. Yeah, sulfuric acid and lubricant and petroleum gas. I'm not sure whether we need light or heavy oil going out or not. We may need water. I seem to remember that 4 ended up being enough for most of my bases, and I forget which liquid I didn't need to have on the bus. And I bet I'm going to find out the hard way. So there's the whole bus. Oh, and let's add another radar out to the left. Here? I think here. No, here. Yep, there we go. So from here on out, I have iron and copper on the bottom, so we can use those. We can add more belts on the top. I think, well, we've got steel. I'm going to add 4 full belts of green chips, obviously. And beyond that, I'm not sure what all I'm going to put on the bus. We'll add things as necessary. I have done buses that get very, very wide. So we'll see. I'm also going to try to reserve some space just below this power line as a walking space, in case I decide I want to drive anywhere. So the power line is going to be, let's see, how does this, so that would be here. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So let's reserve a 4 wide area. So now we got a place to run. And south of this, I'll leave a bit of a gap before I start building machines in case I need to run some belts back and forth. Short haul. So I'm thinking machines may start in this kind of neighborhood. I don't have an assembling machine on my bar, probably because it was making them and I wanted to have it stop. So machines might start here. This gives us some extra room to work in. I'm not sure whether my logistics goes here in the liquid bus or whether I put logistics into the power area or what. Probably logistics in the power area, and if we don't put anything up above it, that will work out neatly. I'm going to think in terms of a long bus rather than putting things on both sides. So we are going to sacrifice this iron ore when we get there. So here we are. We've laid it all out, and now it's just a matter of setting it up and turning it on. This won't build anything interesting yet. Our first interesting thing is going to be when we have red, green, and blue science being driven off of the main bus up here. And at that point I will do that, and then I will also get a mall set up. I may put the mall fairly early and then backfeed a line of green for the mall. Green circuits are one of those things where I might put green circuits up on top. They eat a lot of resources, and it's quite possible that I may tap some resources specifically for them. There's no real extra copper coming in, but if I have to dedicate some of my copper lines, I may simply take the top 4 lanes of copper, divert them early, send them to the green chips, maybe divert some iron. Although I really do want to have 8 lanes of iron in the main bus, so yeah, I will have to think about that. Anyway, so that's the plan, and now I would just start waiting for materials and gathering materials and striping them back and forth and striping them back and forth and striping them back and forth. So instead of doing that, I'm going to put in a cut. I'll be doing that this evening, kind of to help chill and meditate. It may be 4 or 5 hours, who knows, however long it takes. But yeah, I'm going to spend some time just laying all this stuff out and getting it going. And when we come back, I anticipate that I will have my smelter working. I will have all of this ore flowing and being turned into plates. And then we can think about where we want to go next. And with that, I'm going to terminate this stream, and I will be back with a new stream